Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Sunday, March 12th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Selection Sunday if you're a college basketball fan. But we're here to talk pucks. We're here to talk hockey. It is the Sunday NHL slate, and we got a great slate this Sunday. 8 games on tap. Get used to this. We're going to have more games on Sundays moving forward, which definitely we approve of. And we've got 8 games on tap. Looking forward to breaking those down in just a moment or two. Before we get into today's games, we'll look back quickly on yesterday. I'm just going to roll through them. 3-2 Boston. They survive another comeback win. Where have we seen that before? From the Boston Bruins. They were down 2-0. They come back. They beat Detroit 3-2. Penguins pound the Flyers 5-1. Much needed win. I mentioned loving the Jason Zucker props in that game. He gets it done again. A goal prop, point prop, both cash there in the 5-1 win for Pittsburgh. Rangers 2-1 against Buffalo in overtime. We did hint that maybe Sir Patrick Kane would score in his return home to Buffalo, and score he did, helping the Rangers to a 2-1 win against the Sabres. Sabres did a lot of good things in that game. Played well, much more solid defensively, but still end up on the wrong side of the scoreboard, and not at this time of year something they want to see as they try to keep their flickering, I guess you could say, playoff hopes alive. Colorado, not easy, but man, I said Arizona's just had a history of giving this team fits. They had beaten Colorado 3 times in a row. A couple of those went to overtime. I said, I'm taking a damn shot at plus 490 on the draw with Arizona, Colorado. And man, it came through. I was very happy to see that. And the Avs won in overtime 3-2. But the draw cashes, our hunch that game would be tight, came through. Chicago and Tampa Bay. That game, if you had I did not have the draw in this game. I was just, nothing went my way here. I had the team total on Chicago, and I had the full game over. Neither one came close. 3-1 for Tampa Bay, but Braden Point with a goal in the final minute to give the Lightning the lead, and then they put it away with the empty net goal as well. 3-1 Lightning there. An entertaining game between the Oilers and the Leafs. 7-4 Toronto. Just a very exciting hockey game. Lots of great offense both ways. Some great goals. McDavid had a nice goal. Marner had an absolutely spectacular goal in terms of he stole the puck and then just a little dingle-dangle right in front of the net and put it off both posts and in. It was just a sensational goal. Great hockey game, incredible pace. And the Leafs with the 7-4 win. And I said I liked Toronto yesterday on the show because they lost in Edmonton. A chance to get redemption. Edmonton off the high of beating the Boston Bruins. I thought it was going to be a little tricky for them against this Toronto team that was going to be ready, and the Leafs get the win. And after a bad start for Matt Murray, let's give him credit. He settled down. He played better in the last 2 periods of that game, helping the Leafs to victory. 3-1 New Jersey. They beat Montreal. St. Louis beats Columbus 5-2. I took a shot with Columbus just because they were the home dog, but I should have known with Michael Hutchinson in net, their chances would have been tough with that guy in net. He gives up the multitude of goals. The over hits, though, which is a good thing in that St. Louis-Columbus game. And I know Alex liked the first period over. That also was a winner in that Blues-Blue Jackets game. We saw Vegas. Wow, was that impressive. 4-0 shutout in Carolina. Man, was that impressive by the Vegas Golden Knights. How about Jonathan Quick? Was that 2023 or 2013? I'm not so sure. That looked like that prime Jonathan Quick in the heyday of those cup runs for the LA Kings last night. I mean, flexible, post to post, the typical diving, stretched out saves that have been a staple of Jonathan Quick goaltending over his career. He looked like he was rejuvenated last night in net for Vegas. I think he's starting to get into this now that he's with the Golden Knights, and he's put the shock of the trade behind him. And what a performance last night in net. And Vegas, just great team play around him as well in a 4-0 shutout win over the Hurricanes. 5-4 Winnipeg beats Florida. Huge win for them. They needed it. They needed to stop the bleeding moment. They got it in a 5-4 win against the Florida Panthers. What an overtime that was, by the way. Back and forth, tons of chances, and the Panthers put it away. Mark Scheifele with a great game there. Washington with a 5-1 win over the Islanders, and that's the issue with the Islanders. Every now and then you get a dud, and unfortunately last night for them, that was a rough night for them against the Capitals. Dallas with a 4-3 win in overtime against Seattle. The Stars continue to play pretty well. Tough loss for Seattle. coming on the heels of the tough loss they had against Ottawa. So, you feel if you're Seattle, you're not playing terribly, but you're just not getting the wins and the results here these last couple of games. And again, you return home, and now you're 1-2 after that brilliant road trip you had. So, the home issues at Climate Pledge continue for Seattle. They've been a better road team this year, and they lose at home to Dallas last night. Vancouver, give them credit, 5-2 against Ottawa. The win streak is now 4. This team is actually dead wrong for me with Ottawa. Just a horrible game for them, and they got outplayed, period, by Vancouver last night. No question. Kuzmenko's just a terror for Vancouver. Another great game from him. 5-2 win. Game does go over, so we do split with that game. Ottawa falls short, but the game does go over the total. Minnesota, 5-2 against San Jose. Very impressed with the Wild, believe it or not. No Kaprizov, and to come out there and put the boots to a team you're better than was very impressive. 5-2 win for the Wild over the Sharks. And the final game, LA did not look right from the very beginning, honestly, in that hockey game. Did not look sharp. Did not look ready to go, kind of lethargic after the road win against Colorado and the road trip in general. And Nashville ends up beating them 2-1 in a shootout. They're not trash big zombie. Last night they were, but that's still a good hockey team. They'll be fine. They had a flat spot last night. That's all. I'm not too worried about the LA Kings, but they do lose in a shootout to Nashville 2-1. I do want to point out something before we get to Alex, something he tweeted last night. You're right about that, because it was one of the more hilarious things. I mean, it looked too maybe I'm going to get ripped for this, and you're, politically correct culture. It looked like two chicks fighting in a bar last night.
Yeah.
Game between Michael Bunting and Evander Kane. I mean, my goodness, it was just like a slap fest. Like, get away from me! I mean, that's what it looked like there. I mean, drop the gloves, you guys. Let's go. Let's actually have a real fight, you guys. If you're that, pissed off with one another, instead they're just slapping each other around and pushing and slapping each other, and they're rolling around and trying to wrestle on the ice like it's a UFC fight, and they're trying to put on a submission hold. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I mean, it's just, come on, guys, do better than that if you're going to show some animosity. Alex, what did talk about that, and also the events from Saturday?
So it's interesting. About a week and a half ago at St. Paul Hotel, I'm talking with a guy, and he goes, "The dumbest thing about hockey is the fighting." And I go, "Oh, what makes you say that?" And he goes on to say that a fight doesn't move the needle. And I actually kind of called him this. I basically had him say that a fight moves the needle as much as a goal or a big hit. And he eventually came around to agree with me. And the perfect example comes in 2 games. You mentioned about Evander Kane and Michael Bunting in that Oilers and Leafs game, which was a fun game. I watched pretty much the entire game of that. And those 2 guys going back and forth, it was so annoying, especially because you're looking at the score. Edmonton's already down. They had this barrage from Toronto, the 4 goals in the second period. At that point, Edmonton could have used the fight to really change the momentum. And they were still live in that game. We saw them end up getting another goal to cut the lead to 6-4 before at least put it away late. But you have a fight in that spot, especially with Evander Kane, a guy who we've seen, he's got the highlight film. He can throw hands. That would have probably changed the momentum, and who knows, that might have been a closer game. Maybe the Oilers, could have possibly had enough momentum to tie it. Then you look at what happened with San Jose and Minnesota last night. Now, 5-2 blowout win for the Wild. That was almost expected to win they needed for sure against a bad San Jose team. But when you saw Evgeny Svechnikov basically whacking away at Marc-Andre Fleury like 6 or 7 times, the refs were standing there. They didn't even blow a whistle till the last hit. Then he goes and skates off, and you see Foligno go after him. The linesmen are basically escorting Svechnikov back toward the Sharks bench and then wrapping him around to send him to the penalty box rather than letting him fight. If a fight takes place there, maybe Minnesota doesn't get a power play, or even if they do end up getting a power play, they don't end up getting the advantage and the momentum to score. That game could have easily gone to overtime, or the Sharks could have won that game. Instead, Wild score with that power play. 30 seconds into the third period, they take a 3-1 lead. That game's pretty much over. So that's the moments where, fighting does make a difference in hockey. And if those 2 games had fights in those 2 instances, may have seen some different results. So those are the 2 things that really kind of were takeaways for me that I wanted to talk about. But a lot of interesting games. Like I said, LA with a flat spot. I was happy to see them go into overtime because I had that draw with Nashville. And I figured Nashville, they're still technically alive in the race, that I figured they would kind of try to hang around, and they're going to look for points in every game that they play pretty much for the rest of the way. So if they can keep a game close late, they'll do that. take a game of the OT because they just need all the points they can, and they're going to need some help to even try to get back in this wild card race officially. Hawks game, once again, just shows you how bad of a shape Tampa Bay's in. That game should have easily been, like I said, 1-1 heading into OT or a shootout. And there's no guarantee that Tampa Bay wins that game if it goes, into the extra frame. Like I said, they, were able to get that goal from point, 2 goals from point, and a goal from Hagel. And, the Hawks looked solid in a game where they, thankfully did not get a point. They need to lose as many games in regulation as possible with about 15 or so left. So it's just, it's interesting. Like I said, these little things that you look at and things that can move the needle this time of year, of course, we see the games get more and more physical. You really have to look for that, and obviously, this is where looking at how special teams respond makes a big difference. Looking at teams that are hot on the power play, look at teams that are hot on the penalty kill right now. Not just how good they are year round. This is the time where you kind of want to do a fast and slow measure of how teams are doing on the power play, because the physicality will get amped up. And it doesn't have to be 2 teams that are looking for points in the playoffs. You could have a team like a San Jose where they're playing for exercise, but still get a little chippy. And obviously, honestly, you might see these teams that are losing get frustrated. They know their season's coming to an end, and they're playing against a team that's going to be going on the greener pastures and make the playoffs. So there's a lot of reasons for animosity, which leads to things happening after the whistle, leads to these power play chances, which teams can convert and capitalize on those. Something we have to identify and move it forward.
That's going to be really critical in the Stanley Cup playoffs, obviously. When 5-on-5 offense gets tougher to come by, it's just defensive focus becomes heightened. Players are willing to block more shots. There's all kinds of definitely reasons why we expect the 5-on-5 offense to be a lot tighter come playoff time. And obviously, if that's going to be the case, then there's a chance that you're going to need to capitalize. You're going to need to be strong with your power play. And, finding those teams that are good on the power play and connecting with the man advantage. That's definitely something you've got to incorporate it in your handicap for sure. Really all year, but especially in the playoffs coming up. No question. All right, let's get into the Sunday slate. We've got 8 games, and we're going to begin with a sequel to what we saw yesterday, a rematch, second game in a row, home and home, Boston Bruins, Detroit Red Wings. This is the first of a Sunday afternoon TNT doubleheader. Great to see TNT with an afternoon doubleheader here today. Boston minus 250, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. If Boston had lost yesterday, I think it would have set up beautifully to bet Boston today. But Boston had that comeback win 3-2, and they're probably still going to win. Let's not kid ourselves here. But I'm not in a rush to lay 250 or get involved with the Bruins in any way here in this game. Sometimes when the game goes under in the previous game, I look for the opposite in the next game, but I'm not even sure I want to do that here today with the over, because Boston certainly has been very good defensively, kind of been trending under, certainly been keeping other teams off the scoreboard. Detroit's gone under in 3 of their last 4 games. Their offense has kind of dried up other than the win against Chicago, 4-3. They've scored just 4 goals in their other 3 games against Boston, Philly, and the Islanders. So this team has definitely had trouble scoring goals of late. So really there's not a whole lot I've done with this game other than stick with some of the props that I've been rolling with here. Zaka on the Boston side, in my opinion, still always worth a look considering how good he's been for the Bruins and undervalued in the prop market compared to some other players. I think on the Detroit side here, this is the game also on the Boston side, who I'd also target. This is the game where maybe I would definitely look toward Bertuzzi. He had 3 shots yesterday. I think the shots on goal prop for him makes sense. This is even more special. It was special for him to play Detroit for the first time yesterday, but now he's making a return to Detroit today in the Little Caesars Arena. So, Bertuzzi point prop, Bertuzzi, over shots on goal, even put a flyer on him to score a goal in this afternoon matchup. I think that's probably something that's worthy of consideration. Anything with Bertuzzi, I think, involved makes sense here. Again, the shots on goal is over 1.5, minus 190. It's a big price, but the plus 106 on the point prop looks very good. And again, he's upwards of plus 300 at some sports books to get a goal today. So that's what I'm looking at more than anything. Just a couple of props in this game, especially Bertuzzi for Boston. What do you think here, Alex? Bruins and Red Wings.
Yeah, this is going to be a pass for me. And, we talked about this for a while when we were talking about the trade deadlines and some of these moves. And how we saw a lot of the smaller moves being made involving the Bruins. Definitely keep an eye and be very careful of the Bruins in these last 16, 17 games of the regular season because they've already clinched the playoff spot. The division, I think, could come as early as next week, which would probably also right around roll into the President's Trophy with how many points they have already. This is definitely a point now where we could start seeing the Bruins maybe looking at maybe resting people. Probably will happen more than say in the next couple of weeks, but I would just be really cautious with seeing who's going to be in net, who's going to be in the lineups for Boston because they have the flexibility of time right now. They can rest guys as often or as little as they want and shift things around, maybe call guys up from Providence. And I think we'll see more of it, obviously, once we get closer into actually April in those last 10 games. But even with a spot like this, they clinched last night. It's the second, half of a home and home. Who's to say Detroit doesn't come out here and get jump out to a 2-0 lead? Boston's not really into it, especially with both of them being early start time. So I just tread lightly, tread very lightly. As good as Boston is, tread lightly with backing them in certain props in certain spots. This is one where I don't trust them enough. And if it was a better team they're playing against, I would actually be on the dog. But I can't back Detroit right now either in the form they're in. So it's a clear pass.
All right, good stuff indeed there. All right, next up, New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins. This is the second of the TNT Sunday afternoon doubleheader. Penguins minus 120, home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this matchup. Penguins with a good, solid, take care of business type of performance yesterday against Philadelphia. I mean, if you're going to make the playoffs, you got to win games like that, and they certainly did that against the Flyers. Now they're on a back-to-back here, although at home with no travel. Taking on the Rangers, who do have to travel, obviously, from Buffalo, but it's short travel. It is worth noting the Rangers have been much better on back-to-back than the Penguins. Rangers 6-6 on which isn't great, but it's 500, 6-6. It's still better than the Penguins. 3-9 on the second of back-to-back games for the Pittsburgh Penguins this season. For me, it's Rangers or nothing. I mean, I still think this is the better hockey team. I know the Penguins are certainly in a more dire need for points right now than the New York Rangers. But again, we will say this a million times. Must win doesn't equal will win, or an important game to get 2 points in and win doesn't mean will win. And you look at the Rangers now, back-to-back wins against the Canadians and the Sabres. Slowly, they're starting to get their game together with all the new faces, including, of course, trying to get that chemistry right with, this loaded top six forward group they now have with Zibanejad and Kreider and Tarasenko and Kane and Panarin and Trocheck. Just trying to get all that, chemistry right. And they've certainly been able to do that here in this one. This might be a game, too, where not only do I look to the Rangers here at an even money price, even with likely Jarl Halak in net, I'm not anymore in that category of better that says Jarl Halak's in net, we can't bet the Rangers anymore. It's not necessarily the case. He's been better since pretty much December. He's been a lot better in net. He had a bad October. Early November as well, and then that's when he started to get his game back together again for this New York Rangers team. Did lose his last start against Ottawa, 5-3, but before that he had given up 3 goals or less in 3 of 4 starts. We probably see Tristan Jarry on the back-to-back for the Penguins, and he has not been right since he returned from injury. Let's keep that in mind. Tristan Jarry hasn't looked great since he's been back from his recent injury. I think that's part of the reason why, well, maybe some of the reason why Casey DeSmith got the first start yesterday. But Casey DeSmith came in relief for Jarry in the Columbus game. Remember, Columbus was up 4-0. Jarry got pulled. DeSmith shut the door from that point on and played well the rest of the way. So you got Halak on one end, Jarry on the other end. You also know I'm pointing toward over the total here with the Rangers and the Penguins. The Penguins still have made a few gaffes defensively. Even in that 5-1 win yesterday, they made a couple of really bad defensive errors and miscues and gaffes in their own end. The Flyers didn't capitalize on them. Well, guess what? If you do that same shit to the New York Rangers and the firepower they now have, they will make you pay for some of those defensive gaffes here this afternoon. So I like this over 6.5 here with the Rangers. I still stand by it that the Rangers, even after a 2-1 tighter checking lower scoring game yesterday, they're going to still be a team that plays a few more games higher scoring and over the total, at least in the regular season, with all this new found forward depth and skill and firepower that they have up front now. And even Pittsburgh, the last 9 games, we've seen 5 and 4 to the over during that span for the Penguins. So I like this over I like the Rangers a little bit less, but I will take a small shot on the Rangers as well. And I might even do a Rangers/draw sprinkle split here in this game because I do feel this could be pretty competitive, pretty close game. And you look back at the last two meetings. Last year's final meeting was a 4-3 Ranger win in overtime. And then earlier this year in Pittsburgh, it was a one-goal game, a Pittsburgh 3-2 victory. So that tells you that the draw is still very much possibly in play here for this game. So I like the over, and we'll do a smaller Rangers draw split for this game. What do you think here, Alex? Rangers, Penguins.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a heck of a lot of value here with this draw. I think I was seeing at one point it was as low as 310 in the one shop. So, but it's still worth playing. I think this is definitely a draw look. And it's going to be one of those, like I said, higher scoring. So I lean to the over. I think we can get a 5.5 if we wait in game. I don't think it's going to just be a barrage of goals immediately. So I'm looking for a 5.5. Won't get greedy and try to look for a plus price. I'll lay $1.10, $1.15. But this could definitely feel like a game where it has the back and forth pace. And as you mentioned, Tristan Jarry has been really rough since coming back from injury. DeSmith has been the one to kind of bail out and help this Penguins team. They have earned points in 7 of the last 8 games too. So they've been really feisty. And the Rangers, like I said, you can't make defensive miscues against this Ranger team, especially now as it seems like period by period. And I've been saying that, and you'll hear me say that a lot more, watching how things develop out of the period. But, that offense and that power play, they start getting more and more cohesiveness. It just seems like it's going to be a high scoring game. So I like the over here. Wouldn't shy away from grabbing 6.5 now, but I'd say wait and grab 5.5 in game. Sprinkle a little something on the draw. I don't want to do anything with the side here because, like I said, Pittsburgh has been playing some decent hockey despite having some issues on the back end and the goaltending being shaky, which is, how many times have we said that about the Penguins in the last 3 years? So, lean with the draw, like the over. I'd wait for a better pricing game.
I love how Nick Earl in our chat. Welcome in, Nick Earl. And I think Nicholas Earl might be on the Betcast this Tuesday. But speaking of the Betcast, Tuesday night, March 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget about it. We're on again with another live Betcast. So DM me at Bobano on Twitter. Email bobano350@gmail.com if you want to join the Betcast, and we'll send you the link for it before it begins. But I'm not shocked that Nick Earl in our chat says pass on this game. He hates the Penguins as an Islanders fan trying to get into the playoffs. He wants nothing to do with them, and he hates the Rangers. So I'm not surprised he doesn't want to side in this game. That's just
the last thing he probably wants to see is overtime because that would not be good for the Rangers with another Pittsburgh point. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. So not shocked to see that. That's not exactly breaking news there. All right, next up, the rest of the games are at night, by the way. Carolina and New Jersey. We've got even money here, -110, both sides, 6 being the total in this game. Very, very impressive last night were the Vegas Golden Knights over the Carolina Hurricanes. 4-0 shutout victory in Carolina, too. Man, it was very impressive. Carolina had their chances, though. 33-23. They did have the edge in play, the edge in shots, but they ran into a Jonathan Quick of old. Jonathan Quick in his prime last night, and they played pretty good hockey, honestly, in front of Jonathan Quick last night as well, the Vegas Golden Knights. So very, very impressed with that performance from them. Now they go to New Jersey here, take on the Devils, looking to bounce back. Both of these teams, by the way, are on the second night of back-to-back games entering this one. New Jersey took care of business in Montreal last night by a score of 3-1 over the Habs. That's their second straight win after beating Washington in a shootout. Both of these teams have strong records on the second night of back-to-back games, by the way. 6-2 for New Jersey this year, 7-2 for Carolina this year, including 3-0 off a loss this year for the Carolina Hurricanes on the road, or on a back-to-back, I should say. On a back-to-back when they're off a loss the previous night, they're 3-0 this season. You look at the series history. This year, they played each other 3 times. Carolina won the first 2. New Jersey won in Carolina, though, 5-3, the most recent meeting on January the 10th. Carolina does have a couple of defensive injuries, including Chatfield, but they're depth defensemen, and they still have plenty of depth back there, so it's not that big of a deal. Antti Raanta, by the way, not available for the Hurricanes still due to injury. And with Freddie Anderson playing last night for Carolina, we got to expect Pyotr Kochetkov, the goalie of the future, to be in net here for the Hurricanes in this game tonight. Probably Vitek Vanacek here for the New Jersey Devils tonight as well for them because of the fact he sat out the game last night against Montreal. So probably Kochetkov, Vanacek. is going to end up being your goaltending matchup here in this game. And he makes his first start since January, recalled from the Chicago Wolves of the AHL, and he puts a 19-save shutout on the board against the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm on Carolina here. I like Carolina -110. I like the team off a loss. I like the team, their road record. They're 7-1 in their last 8 on the road. They've been awesome in a back-to-back and off a loss. Look, I think you're going to get a great response from this Hurricanes team here tonight against New Jersey. It's not easy to beat New Jersey right now. They're playing well too. I don't want to take anything away from them. Timo Meier has been a nice addition, but Heeshier's been great lately. Even with Jack Hughes has kind of cooled off, and to see, other players step up, Palat, Tatar, Dawson Mercer, the point streak continues. We're backing Dawson Mercer to score a point tonight, even though we like Carolina. We got to keep riding that prop. There's no question. And I forgot to mention in the Pittsburgh game, I'm back on Jason Zucker today. How can you not be? He's been absolutely terrific for them. So we're going to take the goal and the point prop again with Zucker in that Pittsburgh Rangers game for a prop there. Obviously, Dawson Mercer to get a point in this game makes all the sense in the world. But I like Carolina here, -110, bounce back spot. I know it's not going to sit well with them getting blanked, getting shut out at home by Vegas. A much better effort, I think, from them. And this young kid in net, Kochetkov, he's the real deal. He really is, and it wouldn't shock me to see him play well today. So give me the Hurricanes here, even money, -110. What do you think here, Alex? Hurricanes, Devils.
I love this draw. And I love this over too. Or I'm sorry, this under rather. This under at 6. This is going to be, I think, a playoff feel from start to finish. I think this could be a 2-2 game. They said Kochetkov has been in good form, and the Devils haven't been really doing a whole lot offensively. Carolina, like I said, getting blanked 4-0. I expect them to play a full, complete game. And we know, like I said, when they get their defense rolling, it's not so much that they use that kind of to generate their chances. It's just that they dictate the pace, dictate possession. And even though they get a ton of shots off, like I said, we always talk about that quality quantity factor. That can be a bit up and down with Carolina. So 40 shots on goal definitely seems realistic. So I would probably look at both Kochetkov and Vanacek over in saves. I would sprinkle something with that. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm glad this is a TNT. No, this isn't the TNT game. We're talking about that, but this will be a standalone game. I'll definitely be checking in on this one along with the other games here in the States. But it should be a fun playoff type atmosphere right from the rip. And I don't think we see a lot of goals. So I like the under and I like the draw.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely think it'll be lower scoring. I'm on Carolina. Hopefully it's Carolina in overtime or a shootout. Everybody can be happy. Everybody can make money that way. Hopefully that's the case. A couple other props here in this game on the Carolina side. Certainly I would look toward Marty Necas again in some form for the Hurricanes. He's been excellent. Just in the last 6 games alone, this guy has 8 points, in the last 6 games. And and you know what's amazing? What a great pattern is? Betting players to get back on the score sheet when they get held off the score sheet the previous game. Look at this pattern that Necas has had for Carolina this year, as of late especially. He doesn't get a point against Washington on February 14th. He gets a point the next game. He doesn't get a point against St. Louis February 21st. He scores the next game. He doesn't get a point March 7th at Montreal. Next game against Philadelphia, gets a point. Oh, I missed Anaheim. Didn't get a point against the Ducks. Next game, he scores against Vegas. So when he gets held off the score sheet one game, he gets back on it the next. That's been a real strong pattern here for Marty Necas of the Carolina Hurricanes. So that's why I'm looking at the Marty Necas point prop tonight for sure for the Hurricanes. Get back on the saddle again after the shutout loss last night. Again, it's -150. You got to lay a little price with that, but I like it. The goal prop too is worth a look, +285. I've mentioned Dawson Mercer. What do they have that prop at tonight? Let me just see. -135 to -140. So still a reasonable price for a guy that's scored a point in 12 straight games. It's a 12 game point streak now for Dawson Mercer. So you're still getting, after all that, a pretty good price as far as that prop is concerned. No doubt about that. So a couple of props there worth a look.
One thing I just wanted to point out, and John X mentioned in the chat about Pyotr Kochetkov, and I literally made this comparison last night talking to a friend where I said that his floor would be maybe journeyman backup, kind of like a Keith Kincaid, but his ceiling would be Cam Ward. And of course the comparison makes sense with him being in Carolina, but that is where I see his I think he has a great upside. Like I said, he's definitely the goalie of the future in Carolina. We talk about his personality and his antics, but he's just a damn good goalie as well. And I think the complete whole of him, I could definitely see him being a fixture and a top 10, top 15 goalie at some point in his career if he stays healthy.
Yeah, he's got great reflexes. He diagnoses plays well. He reads the play well as a goalie. He tracks the puck well. That's a skill that goalies don't always have. He has that, and I think that's what's made him very good.
And his game awareness. I like his general game awareness, which is something I think gets overlooked with goalies in this day and age. And we saw that with a lot of the goalies in the 90s. They had just great game management skills.
You're right. And I'll give you an example of that. There's those every goalie's going to face shifts where his own team's running around like chickens with their heads cut off in their own defensive zone. Can't get the puck out of the zone, and they're hemmed in. They're hemmed in. He'll freeze the puck. He'll get a face off if he knows his guys are tired and they need a change. Yep. He'll do that. You're right. He's got a great sense of the game and the flow of it and what to do at what time, and he does that a lot too, and that's smart. Tells you this guy knows what he's doing. There's no question. And you're right, in terms of the goaltending skill and ability, there's no question he has got it for sure. And Carolina's got an exciting future with him in net, no doubt. All right, Winnipeg and Tampa Bay. We've got the Lightning minus 190 home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. This, of course, is back-to-back for both of these teams. Tampa was at home hosting Chicago last night. Winnipeg was in Florida against the Panthers last night and won in overtime in that game. I'd be so tempted to take Winnipeg here, Alex. I like the idea that they were struggling. They got to win, right? And they were going to have a little pep in their step and a little momentum now going into Tampa tonight. But if it's Big Siv Dave in net, I'm not sure I can pull this trigger on it. And it probably will be him on a back-to-back. And it's also worrisome for me that we got key injuries on both sides. Both of these teams inflicted significant injuries last night. Adam Lowry, who is a very important two-way forward for the Jets. Josh Morrissey, who, of course, is playing at almost a Norris Trophy level this year for the Jets. He got injured last night against Florida, didn't return to the game, and probably will not play tonight against Tampa Bay. And we know how significant he is. He's been one of the best players on this team, 67 points in 66 games. You look at the minutes he plays, 26, 29, 27 minutes a night. In that range. I mean, it is absolutely a huge loss on the back end. Plays in every situation. And now the rest of the blue line for the Jets, the other defensemen have to compensate for his absence, which isn't an easy thing with just how important he is to this Winnipeg Jets team. So you're going to have to see more Brendan Dillon, Dylan DeMello, Logan Stanley, Neil Pionk, Dylan Sandberg, Nate Schmidt. They're all going to have to play more minutes now collectively as a blue line without Josh Morrissey. But the Tampa Bay Lightning did not go unscathed last night. Steven Stamkos, obviously. And that was a weird injury there where it looked very, very innocent, the play where he got hurt. But then sure enough, he could put barely any weight on the one leg. And, of course, now all of a sudden, lower body injury is what they're saying. And probably on a back-to-back, they're going to keep him out tonight. That's just my guess. We haven't got confirmation yet. And John Cooper left the door open for Stamkos to play tonight. But if I had to put my doctor cap on, probably I would say that he's not going to play tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Be smart. You're in a spot where you're probably not catching Toronto for the second. You're probably locked into third, and you're going to face Toronto without home ice advantage, most likely in the first round. So there's no reason to rush Stamkos back tonight on a back-to-back situation. So I don't think we'll see him tonight. It probably will be Riddick, but it hasn't been confirmed. And look, this is one where it's not lock, stock, and barrel that Riddick starts tonight because Hellebuck's been on record. Put me in, coach, on back-to-back. I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. I like it. He even has said in the past, he's been quoted as saying that in interviews. And Rick Bowness has not been scared to put Hellebuck in on a back-to-back. So don't rule out that Connor Hellebuck may get the back-to-back start here tonight for the Winnipeg Jets in this game. And I'm sure it'll be Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay because we saw Elliott last night. So we still could see a Hellebuck-Vasilevsky matchup here in this game. But I'm tempted by the Jets. I'm tempted by the draw. And we'll wait and see who's going to be in net specifically for the Jets. What do you think here, Alex? Winnipeg, Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I grabbed Jets plus 160. I actually grabbed it last night, and I grabbed that with the intention of, like you said, Hellebuck could easily go back again, second of back-to-backs, and I thought that would be a tremendous price. We'd see I think a massive swing, probably at least 20-cent move, probably on Winnipeg if it is confirmed that Hellebuck's in net, because this is a Tampa Bay team, of course, that's just out of sorts. Like I said, did not like that win last night, and you mentioned about the Stamkos injury, which was just very awkward. We've seen two awkward leg injuries now in the last week. Kirill Kaprizov, that was a very awkward one, and now Steven Stamkos. As important as Stamkos is, let's also keep in mind Stamkos in my ratings is right in that same realm of the Malkin, Letang, Crosby trio. How many times have we talked about Steven Stamkos being out injured, missing significant time over the years? So this is a Tampa Bay team that I think personnel wise can figure things out without 91 in the lineup, but the form that they're in right now, they do not need to lose him. That's what I think is really critical. Where even Adam Lowry lost, I think that's obviously a big instant impact for the Jets. Stamkos is more going of a longer term if he's out longer term, but also just the fact that they can't figure things out and seem to just be completely out of sorts at the worst possible time. That's why I like the Jets here, and I think at a plus price, they're worth taking a shot on, even if it is Riddick and net, but especially if it is Hellebuck with the second of back-to-backs. And, these goalies, they don't say it, but I'm sure if we talk about the Crosby versus Ovechkin or the Ovechkin versus McDavid, if anything, I think these goalies get jazzed up to play one another. When we talk about the Shesterkin, the Vasilevsky, the Hellebuck, the Gibson, those top Gibson's not as good as he once was, but I think those top-tier goalies, when they're regarded and they see their counterpart across the ice, they know this is another top 5, top 10 goalie, they get amped up, and that becomes a more of a player versus player battle if you want to throw that narrative in. But I like the Jets here at a plus price.
Yeah. I'll be on some kind of Jets or draw or a little bit of both maybe in this game. But I want to point out the Jets have been a thorn in Tampa Bay's side over the years too. 5-3 for Winnipeg head to head against Tampa in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. And you look at actually the back-to-back records this year. We sometimes overblow it with Tampa fatigue in terms of, how many games they've played, all the runs to the Stanley Cup final. Sometimes we make too big of a deal of it, that maybe they're tired, maybe they're starting to wear down. But I want to throw out the back-to-back record for Tampa Bay this year as maybe a piece of evidence that maybe this team, the number of games they've played in the last 3 years is catching up to them. Because you know what the Lightning back-to-back games record is this year? Second of back-to-backs, Tampa Bay's 3-9 this year. It's not a good record. Actually, Winnipeg is 7-3 on the second night of back-to-back games this year. So if you're just betting back-to-back tendencies this year, you're definitely on Winnipeg, especially at this price, plus 160 here in this game tonight. So again, we'll wait to see if Hellebuck's in, but definitely Alex and I are eyeing the Jets in some form here, and I might sprinkle on the draw as well in this one, and what probably will be a competitive game. All right, good stuff. That's the first half of the Sunday card. 207 live viewers on YouTube. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We will be back with the back half of this Sunday NHL card right after we hear from Gramco.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Gramco. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta-8 THC products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta-8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. Gramco is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta-8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta-8 products today.
All right, we are back here on the, there we go. Alex is back too now. We are both back now on the Ice Guys show and ready to roll along. We got 4 games left, 4 down, 4 to go. Vegas Golden Knights, St. Louis Blues. We've got Vegas minus 140, road favorite, 6.5 the total. in this one. Vegas, what a win last night. We've talked about this a few times now, but it goes without saying, an excellent performance. Team's just been awesome on the road this year. Back-to-back for both teams once again here, which is going to be a theme here on this Sunday card. A lot of these teams, pretty much all of them, played last night as well. You had Vegas and Carolina. You had St. Louis with a 5-2 win over Columbus. So both of these teams coming into this one feeling good after victories last night. St. Louis actually has the better back-to-back record. Vegas is only 1-4 on the second of back-to-back games, 6-4 for St. Louis on the second night of back-to-back games. We'll see how this one goes. Keep in mind, there's obviously a ton of issues with goaltending right now for Vegas in terms of injuries. They are gutted. Robin Leonard long ago went on IR. Logan Thompson, of course, several weeks ago on IR. They were down to Laurent Brossoit and Aiden Hill for the longest time. They bring in Jonathan Quick, which is good timing because Laurent Brossoit went on IR about a week and a half ago. And now Aiden Hill, lower body injury, now has missed the last couple of games against Tampa Bay and Carolina. And he, I believe, is still going to be out for this game tonight against St. Louis. So your options, if you're Bruce Cassidy, are playing older, twilight of his career, although he was phenomenal last night. Jonathan Quick, you play him on a back-to-back, or you go with someone just summoned from Henderson in the AHL, Yuri Patera here for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Bruce Cassidy, I remember seeing a video clip yesterday on Twitter of him talking about the goaltending. He seemed pretty sure of himself that it was going to be Quick last night and it was going to be Patera here tonight. So I would expect Patera to get the shot here in this game against the St. Louis Blues. His numbers down there in the AHL, 12-14, 2.66 goals against average, .916 save percentage here for Patera in this game. So this is a tricky game. This is more of I want to wait to see how he looks, the young kid. Keep in mind, he's playing on a team that's got that potential to be, very, very sturdy, sound in front of him, make his life easier. If there's one team that can help make your life easier as a young goalie making your first start, it's the Vegas Blue Line. When you got Pietrangelo and you have Martinez and you have Whitecloud and Theodore, and you've got a lot of good players on that back end that make your life easier as a goaltender. So, Yuri Patera is in a situation here where with that blue line, and they're playing so well right now as well, the Golden Knights, with their defense in front of them, that they might be able to still help this kid along and help him forward and still allow him maybe to get the win here in this game. I mean, I don't want to step in front of Vegas. I also don't think I'm going to lay -140, though, with them in this spot with the young kid in net, especially after a huge win last night. Is there a flat spot? I don't know. Maybe you're playing the Blues, who are way out of it. Maybe they fall flat here. That is something that can happen. We saw it with the LA Kings a little bit last night, but I'm definitely passing on the side. Totals wise, this is a game where, if Vegas has their way, it stays under because they can lock you down defensively. Look what they did last night. But St. Louis is not really an under team to me. They've still got questions with their D, questions with their goaltending, and they can still put the puck in the net, St. Louis. They still have offensive capabilities. So this is going to be just a wait-and-see approach for me in this game, but I would lean slightly to Vegas, but I'm probably not going to back them here, at least not pregame at -140 off a big win last night. What do you think here, Alex? Vegas, St. Louis?
Yeah, the great comedian Joey Diaz always said, if you're going to walk on thin ice, you might as well fucking dance. So I'm going with Vegas in regulation at even money, even if it's with Yuri Patera and net. This is a St. Louis fade, and it's been a continuous St. Louis fade. This is just a rough team in bad shape. And like you said, you can, one of us could be in net for Vegas right now. And when they clamp down defensively, we probably have a decent outing between the pipes. So this is just a all Vegas side. I just think that momentum carries over from that nice win last night, and like I said, goaltender be damned. I think they could still put the screws to St. Louis on the road. So we're going Vegas regulation at even money.
All right, I like the confidence. I mean, I really do. I mean, I'm not as confident. I'm worried about the spot. I don't like the fact that the back-to-back trends point to St. Louis, who have had the better back-to-back record this year, and we don't know how this young kid's going to play. But there's certainly I like that that with you, Alex, you like Vegas, but you're taking the regulation. I think if you like Vegas, that's what you do. -140 on the road in this kind of a dubious spot. I don't love that price, but if you get it in regulation and all of a sudden you're turning it into a plus price here with that Vegas and regulation bet, at least, win or lose, you're not going to have juice that you're going to have to eat, if the Vegas Golden Knights fall short here. So yeah, you can get +110 at Pinnacle right now with Vegas in regulation. So Alex liking the Golden Knights here in 60 minutes.
And this is a decent live game too. I mean, if let's say Patera goes out there and lays an egg early, we could start, hammering St. Louis to score next goal, try to grab some live over. So there's ways to adjust too, with having this regulation side. So I just not just staying just perfectly flat on that. If Patera does falter, we'll try to make some adjustments in the game with this one.
Yeah. All right. We have an all-Canadian matchup here, and oh my gosh, in terms of importance, this game is hella important for both teams. I mean, this is a really good Sunday card. I mean, you look at it, Boston, Detroit, not the greatest game, but Penguins, Rangers is a good game. Carolina, New Jersey, good game. Winnipeg, Tampa Bay, a good game. And this next one's a very important game. Ottawa Senators, Calgary Flames, Calgary -190, home favorites here, and the total sitting at 6.5 across the board. Really, I was wondering where this total was going to be, because 6.5 sure as hell ain't a Calgary Flames total right now. Not the way they're playing, and not the way they're failing to score goals right now. But 6.5 does feel like it's where it should be for Ottawa, because we know there's been a team trending over the total. Either they give up goals or they score a bunch, but usually you've been getting one or two, if not both, from Ottawa lately. So this total is a little bit interesting here. If you side with Ottawa, you probably side with the over. If you side with Calgary, you probably side with the under. You got Calgary trending under, Ottawa trending over. So definitely something's got to give here as far as this total is concerned in this game here between the Sens and the Flames. Flames off that 3-1 loss to Anaheim. It feels like a spot for the Flames, catching Ottawa on the back-to-back. But at the same time, Ottawa can't be happy about that performance in Van City last night, wanting to play better. And their back-to-back record's quite good, 6-3 for the Ottawa Senators on the second of back-to-back games this season. So I'm still, what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an Ottawa/draw here. A little Ottawa, little draw. Kind of like what I might do with Winnipeg, Tampa Bay, and what I might do with the Rangers and Pittsburgh as well, with Rangers in the draw. A little bit on both. I think it's a competitive game. Calgary doesn't run away from anybody right now, especially with their struggles to score goals. That goes without saying. I think it's a pretty close game. We're going to have to see who's in net, by the way, for the Ottawa Senators, because they pulled Mads Søgaard last night in the loss against Vancouver. Cam Talbot's still out. Anton Forsberg is still on IR. I would assume we're going to have the Italian Stallion here in net tonight. Kevin Mandolese here for the Ottawa Senators. Now, he actually came into the game last night in replacing Søgaard, but I think all along the plan from DJ Smith was Søgaard last night, Mandolese on the back-to-back tonight. So I think it'll be Mandolese. He deserves a shot. Søgaard has been rough here in a couple of these last starts here. Chicago, he had a tough night. Last night, he had a tough night. I think it's Mandolese time. Mandolese, I remember he played that early afternoon, Monday afternoon game a little recently against Boston. I thought he played pretty well. Kept the Senators in the game. I think it's Mandolese time if I'm DJ Smith tonight. So I'm leaning to Ottawa a little bit at +160, and I think the draw is live here. I really do. Ottawa and Calgary, I believe, went to overtime when they played earlier this season in the nation's capital. Yes, indeed. February 13th, 4-3 Ottawa in overtime. That's when they made that crazy comeback against the Calgary Flames. So we know Calgary plays a lot of nip and tuck hockey lately, close games, hard to gain separation, hard to gain a margin in their games, regardless of whether it's Calgary or the opponent trying to gain that margin. So definitely, I think the draw here is live. So I'm going to do a little split bet here, a little on Ottawa, +160, a little bit on the draw as well. And that is as high as +362 with the draw at Pinnacle. So a really nice price with that. Alex, what do you think here? Sens Flames.
Yeah, this is definitely a draw worth taking a stab at. It's not my favorite one on the board tonight, but definitely one I would look at. Like I said, with Mandolese, if he does go in net, this is a guy that they're really high on. Like I said, Ottawa, they're fond of their big goaltenders. They've been kind of scouting the larger, wider guys in net for quite some time now, and that's kind of just it's like Nashville always going to Finland to get all their goaltending. Basically, that's kind of just Ottawa's MO. But it'd be interesting to see. And like the Calgary, you always worry about Calgary early in games too, right? Like, even if it's not Markstrom, it could be Vladar, but you just worry about this team, being focused in the first 5-10 minutes. And so that makes it hard to even look for some live betting opportunities, honestly, with Calgary. Calgary's been a team that I feel like as far as teams, especially when we think about the prior bet casts and just live betting in the second half of the season, I've probably taken less shots with games involving Calgary in game than other teams. So I'll probably just sprinkle something on the draw and have a little bit of that in pocket, but not looking at anything side or total wise here.
Perlo, it feels like a really bad spot for Ottawa, but the back-to-back record kind of eased me off those concerns a little bit. They did, and bad spot. Bad spot, yeah, in terms of, they were in Vancouver last night. Daylight savings time. And that's another thing to factor in with these back-to-backs for the teams traveling. Daylight savings time. The clock gets pushed up 1 hour. That doesn't make things any easier. I get that for sure. Lose an hour, and you're moving, west to east a little by one time zone here. So that's not good at all for Ottawa. But then you look at the back-to-back record. They're 6-3 on the second night of back-to-back games. And I think you get a great effort from them. They can't piss away points right now. They need every point they can get. They can't come into this game thinking you got to put the spot aside and find a way to push yourself forward and prepare yourself to play tonight as a professional and a team that's desperate for points right now, the Ottawa Senators. So, and again, do we trust Calgary to pull away and ever win easily right now with their lack of offensive punch? We do know it's going to be Markstrom in net for Calgary. Jacob Markstrom's been confirmed in net for them. And again, I expect it to be Mandolese in net. The one thing I would do is whoever's in net for Ottawa, I assume Kevin Mandolese will be the goalie, bet over saves. How many times have we talked about this with Calgary? They shoot the puck a ton. It doesn't go in half the time. That's the issue. They shoot the puck a ton, but it doesn't go in half the time. So I think definitely a situation where you could bet the goalie prop over on saves for Mandolese tonight. I think that's definitely a good little goalie save prop that is worthy of consideration here in this matchup tonight, because that's the one thing you get from the from the Calgary Flames is even when the puck doesn't go in, they fire a shit ton of rubber on the opposing goalie. And that's been the theme for them all year, setting that NHL record, losing 19 games this year, an NHL single season record, 19 losses for the Calgary Flames when they outshoot the opponent by at least 10 shots on goal. That's some kind of stat right there. 19 times you've lost when outshooting the opposing team at least 10 by 10 shots in games this year. Really, really something that they have had. Yeah, Ottawa first. Yeah, that's not bad either, Perlo, just to maybe look at Ottawa split. If you don't trust them to hang around for the full game because of the back-to-back, you could go that route. But no way am I going to endorse Calgary minus 190. I can tell you that right now. Nashville, and by the way, shots on goal type of game. Stützle for Ottawa. I wouldn't argue with that. Jacob Chikrin's been flying over 2.5 shots on goal lately. I think you keep betting him. I think over shots on goal for the Senators. Toffoli, Backlund, Coleman, the same three we've been talking about repeatedly for Calgary are the three I would specifically go with for shots on goal for them, especially Toffoli and Backlund. I mean, even with the adjustment up to 3.5 on their shots on goal prop, you've got these two guys are still finding their way most games to 4 or more shots on goal. So definitely going to go back to the well with all reliable there, especially Backlund and Toffoli for Calgary. All right. Nashville, Anaheim. We've got Nashville minus 165, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Nashville back-to-back for them, obviously, after a nice shootout win last night against the LA Kings. Maybe caught the Kings in a little bit of a flat spot, but give them credit. They won and performed well. Anaheim was one of just 2 NHL teams last night that did not play. They played on Friday against the Calgary Flames, and they ended up getting the 3-1 win in that game. So they have the rest advantage. They're only one of 2 teams, Anaheim, that didn't play yesterday. So they have that going for them in this game tonight. Nashville has owned Anaheim. They've won 5 straight head-to-head meetings, including both previous games earlier this year, 2-1 in Nashville, 6-1 here in Anaheim. Anaheim, though, continues to play at least relatively competitive hockey. You look at these last few games since February 23rd, they're 5-3 in their last 8 games. The losses were an overtime loss to Washington, an overtime loss to Vancouver, and of course they also had the 5-2 loss against Seattle, and that game they were hanging around for a good portion of that game. So, you've got this situation here where Anaheim's been competitive, and I'm tempted. To me, this is just two teams where I don't know if there's enough of a compelling reason to say on a back-to-back, let's lay minus 165 on the road with the Nashville Predators. I'm just not sure I'm really trusting of this team to do that. Their back-to-back record this year is not bad. It's 4-4, which isn't terrible. But, laying minus 165 on the road here is not something I'm looking to do. It would probably be an Anaheim or pass type of spot for me. I might end up passing, but I think the Ducks, with just the way they've played a little bit better lately, look, let's be honest, they've gotten some better offensive contributions from some players down the lineup. Silverberg's chipped in lately. Maxime Comtois got a goal the other night for the Anaheim Ducks. Troy Terry, he has been pretty good. He got a goal against Vancouver. Trevor Zegras, as of late, I think he's picked up his offensive production a little bit of late, big time, in fact. He's gone 5 points in the last 5 games for the Ducks, 2 goals during that span. So the Zegras point prop actually might be my favorite bet on this game rather than either side. Zegras with 5 points for the Ducks in the last 6 games, and he's only minus 140 or so to get a point tonight. So I lean Ducks, and I like that Zegras point prop more than anything here. What do you think here, Alex? Predators, Ducks?
Yeah, it's a pass for me. If I had to play something here, it would be Anaheim, because I could just feel this was classic Nashville to have that, tight, win last night, and then the next night lay an egg against a team they should really beat in the Ducks. But the Ducks are a hard team to back right now as well, and so it has a feel of it could be Anaheim 4-1, it could be Nashville 3-1, 4-1. I just don't have a good feel on it, so it's a pass.
All right, pass for Alex on this one. Final game now of this Sunday card. Minnesota Wild, Arizona Coyotes. Minnesota minus 200 road favorites, 5.5 the total in this one. Minnesota back-to-back for them. Obviously, great win for them last night against the San Jose Sharks. No Kaprizov, no problem. I like to see that, right? Step up in the first game without your star player. They did that in the 5-2 victory last night. Fleury was, again, very solid. This is very promising for Minnesota, that Marc-Andre Fleury has really played well now in a few of his recent starts. He's played much better. This is good news. You want 2 goalies you can count on, and they've got that right now with Gustafsson and with Fleury. Both of them playing quite well right now for the Wild. Arizona off a tough overtime loss against Colorado yesterday, 3-2. They did get heavily outshot, though, 44 saves or 44 shots faced. It was an admirable effort in net from Connor Ingram. 41 saves on 44 shots in that matchup against the Colorado Avalanche. So he played as well as you could ask for. Probably back to Vejmelka, I would assume, tonight for the Arizona Coyotes, although that hasn't been confirmed. Philip Gustafsson, which you would expect on the back-to-back, will start here after Fleury got the nod last night against San Jose. I'm just going to stick with what's working here. With no Kaprizov, you've got to look at other shooters. And look, who gives up a shit ton of shots? The Arizona Coyotes do. We talk about this all the time. They give up 30 shots, 40 shots in most games. This is a good game, Alex, for Minnesota shots on goal props. A very good game. I like Boldy over shots on goal. Eric Sinek over shots on goal. Ryan Hartman over shots on goal. And these are 3 guys that all went over their shots on goal prop last night against San Jose. How do I know that? Because I bet them all. And ended up with winning tickets at the end of the night. Eric Sinek over shots on goal, 2.5. You got to lay some juice, but it's worth laying. Over 2.5, only minus 125 for Ryan Hartman over shots on goal. And Matt Boldy, I think has got to pick up the slack offensively with no Kaprizov. Over 3.5 at a plus price on his shots on goal prop. And definitely whatever goalie is in net for Arizona. We mentioned yesterday on the show, Connor Ingram over saves was a good bet against Colorado. And that cashed with plenty of room to spare. Karel Vejmelka, who is likely going to start for Arizona tonight, probably a good prop bet again, over saves prop once again for Vejmelka here tonight, because he's likely going to face a ton of rubber. Again, we talk about this Arizona blue line. They're getting bailed out by their goalies big time right now, because you look at the makeup of the Arizona blue line, and as I've said to you many times on this show, Alex, Patrick Nemeth, Yanis Moser, Juuso Valimaki, Josh Brown, Connor Mackey, Victor Soderstrom is not a 6th that's NHL caliber right now for the Arizona Coyotes. It's not, and that's why they're giving up so many shots. So Minnesota shots on goal props, that's really what I like more than anything here in this game. it is kind of a tricky spot. Minnesota should win, but it's back-to-back where they are 5-4 on the season. Arizona, by the way, they're on back-to-back, of course, as well. They're just 2-6 on a back-to-back this season. Minnesota should get the job done. Maybe you take them in regulation here. You know what? I honestly am tempted by the over here. And even though Minnesota's been a very, very strong under team, and they've committed to playing this really tight checking, defensive-minded hockey, it's suddenly gone over now 2 straight games with these 5.5. They've dropped it to 5.5 now, 4 straight games for Minnesota. The first 2 against Calgary stayed under. But hold on now. Calgary's, playing under Palooza hockey themselves right now. Not a surprise that Minnesota, Calgary stayed under back-to-back games. But the 2 games at 5.5 totals for Minnesota games since then, the Winnipeg game and the San Jose game, both went over the total. Arizona, Minnesota, especially here in the desert, we've seen some higher scoring games between these 2 teams historically here in Arizona more often than not. So I'm tempted with this total being at the 5.5, -110 at BetOnline right now, just even money to look over the total here with the Wild and the Coyotes. What do you think here, Alex? Minnesota, Arizona.
Yeah, I lean with that over as well, and might even try to grab a 4.5 in game because they say the Wild now they're playing these sneaky overs. Like that game last night did not have the feel of an over at all with San Jose, but they were just able to kind of creep over. And like that, they're getting their offense rolling now. 12-game point streak is impressive. And that was certainly probably the most impressive win of that bunch of games, honestly, for the Wild. But like I said, can they string it together against another bottom feeder club on the road? It's just tough. Even a Wild team total kind of freaks me out. I like the full game over more because I think Arizona's live to get at least a goal or 2. It's a Wild team that, with Gustafsson as well as he's played, you just start to wonder when the minutes continue to pile up with him in net. Will he be a bit shaky, kind of regress to that earlier form we saw with him and form we've seen with him with other teams? He's a young goaltender. I think he's had a great season, and I think he's projecting and progressing very well from a career standpoint. But that doesn't mean he's not susceptible to give up a couple of soft goals in this one. So, like the over 5.5, that's a great number. I might play it small at 5.5 and then try to even grab some 4.5 in game because we'll just have the ability to do that. I don't think we're going to get goals here early in this contest. Although we said that Wild scored 2 minutes into the game yesterday, so it's just so hard to read this Wild team right now. They're winning and they're winning ugly, to use an old phrase. So don't even want anything to do with the side, and I could easily see this one going in OT if they do start off slow and Arizona comes out to a lead. The Wild could easily come back and force this one to extras like they've always been doing. It seems like off and on the last few weeks. So let's go over 5.5. Maybe look for some over in game. And probably maybe just put the littlest sprinkle on the draw here as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely. It's good to diversify your portfolio. You're going to see this a lot for me down the stretch of the regular season, and we've seen it now for me and with my bets and my betting style the last week or two, splitting between the sides you think could win the game and the draw. I think that's always like I'm doing that with the Rangers today. Rangers and draw, Jets and draw maybe against Tampa. What else? Senators and draw. Against Calgary. There's a bunch of games on this card I'm doing that with where I'm putting a little bit, half on the team to win, half on the draw. And optimally, what am I looking for? I'd love it to see Rangers in overtime or a shootout, Jets in overtime or a shootout, Senators in overtime or a shootout. And then you could really turn a tidy profit if that comes to fruition.
And to clarify, you were looking for both of those split, not the double chance, because
that's right.
The double chance robbed you of it's like a minimum of at least 70 cents of value compared to when you split those 2. So so 2 split bets, not one with the double chance. It's almost the same theory of regulation draw over yes, no overtime kind of.
Correct. It's Rangers money line and draw, Jets money line and draw, Senators money line and draw. 2 separate bets, exactly. And like I say, if we hit the overtime and if the team we bet wins in overtime or a shootout in 2 of those 3 games, if not all 3, wow, we're rolling. We're in good shape. That is for sure.
And check your books because I think some books will allow you to run those together in the same game parlay if you so choose.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of books will. So that is a good thought. Definitely to check that out, see if they will allow that. All right, great stuff. That is the Sunday card, great Sunday card, really good actually. There's a lot of good and important NHL hockey games on the menu, on the docket on this Sunday. 229 live viewers on YouTube. Hit the like button, and a shout out as well to our podcast listeners. And a reminder too, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. Power ratings, goalie charts, totals charts, daily Ice Guys show betting card, bonus content. We got more of that coming as well in the weeks ahead. And again, if you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it. And show thanks for the two of us bringing you this great NHL betting analysis 7 days a week, all season long. Sign up at patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month.
Also, this is the last day. It's been 9 days. This is the last day. If you go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, you can save and get 20% off anything in the store. I saw some people in the chat the other day say they wanted to get some hoodies. Now's the time to do it. Do not delay. As soon as we finish the show, you should go over to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, check out what you want, buy it now, and save 20% off on anything in the store. It expires at midnight, so do not miss out. iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. And there it again is the live bet cast as well this Tuesday, March 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Live betting and commentary with me, with Alex, with our guests, our viewers and listeners that join us on the betcast. Lots of fun. Hopefully lots of profits as well with our live bets. Drinking encouraged as always. DM, it's a pub and bar atmosphere. That's what makes the betcast so fun. DM me at Bobano on Twitter or email bobano350@gmail.com if you wish to join us on the betcast on Tuesday night, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. All right, best bets to wrap up the Sunday show in just a moment, right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner, with the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete Performance Package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there, and it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code ICEGUYS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we are back here and ready to wrap it up just in time, of course, for the first game that's just about to start on TNT, Bruins and Red Wings. So great timing to get on out of here, but not before we get to best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we're going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going even money in regulation against the St. Louis Blues. It's a Blues team that's just absolutely awful, but this is a Knights team that is definitely getting things rocking and rolling right now. They will have Yuri Patera in net, but I'm not too worried about that. I think the blue liners in front of him will give him more than ample chances to make some saves, and that offense should carry the way. So let's go with the Vegas Golden Knights in regulation and even money. That is my best bet for this Sunday.
There we go. Vegas in regulation, plus 110 for Alex against St. Louis for his best bet on this Sunday NHL card. My best bet for this card, I like good teams when they're off a game that's not going to sit well with them, and I think you get that tonight from the Carolina Hurricanes against New Jersey. Carolina minus 110 against New Jersey. They've won 7 of their last 8 road games. They're going to have their young stud in net, Pyotr Kochetkov, fresh off a shutout in his first start back in the NHL the other night against Philly. Now, Philly's not New Jersey, obviously. This will be a taller order, tougher challenge, but I think Carolina digs in, plays a lot better, and wipes the bad taste out of their mouth from that 4-0 shutout loss at home to Vegas last night. And a great price, even money here. Carolina -110 against New Jersey for my best bet for this Sunday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. Enjoy the selection show if you're a college basketball fan as well tonight as we get the NCAA tournament field announced. That's coming up. Looking forward to that as well. Have a great Sunday, and we will be back with you tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.